Hey everybody, so we are looking today at the second part of energy flow and ecosystems. And that's going to be talking about the food web. Food webs are more complex than the food chain that you may be familiar with, and they generally show a deeper connection between organisms than that energy pyramid that we talked about. So we have a video for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. But a food web. A food web in its simplest form, in its true definition, it's interconnecting food chains. So it's the food chains that show all of the different possibilities within an ecosystem. Because as much as you might love just eating steak, chances are you eat steak and you eat chicken and you eat eggs and you eat pork chops and bacon. And because it's really not healthy to eat just those proteins, you also eat things like green beans and corns or okra or greens or a salad or asparagus or broccoli or an apple. So you have all of these different foods that we eat. And the food web shows those interconnections where the food chain just shows boom, boom, boom. We go bada bum bada bum bada bum 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 bada bum bada bum bada ba ya. Shows all of those possibilities. Okay? The food webs illustrate the complex patterns of the energy flow in an ecosystem, just like I talked about. So think about at the beginning of the movie Ratatouille. At the beginning of the movie, Remy is talking about how there's flavor explosions going on in his head when he combines the mushroom with the other foods that he finds out when they're scavenging. But his brother's like, but why not eat just the mushroom? Okay, so Remy's brother is on a chain. Simple. We don't like simple. We like complex. We like the flavor explosion. We want to know all of those complex patterns that can take place. Here is one example of a food web. Now, energy flows in the direction of the arrow. So let's look at this shrub here, okay? So the shrub, no arrows are going into the shrub. That shrub is a producer. So it gets its energy from the sun. The sun gives the energy to the shrub grows, and that shrub is eaten by the grasshopper, so it gives the grasshopper energy, and the rabbit eats the shrub, and we know that because energy is going from the shrub to the rabbit, and energy goes from the shrub to the deer. But we see that the deer doesn't just want the shrub. The shrub likes to diversify what it likes to eat because the deer also gets energy from the tree. Just like the grasshopper also gets energy from the grass. And the squirrel gets energy from the tree and the shrub and the fungi because it likes mushrooms. And mushrooms are a form of fungi. Okay? So that's just going from the producer level up to the primary consumer. Look at all of those other levels that we've got here. We've got secondary consumers in the hawk and the shrew and the snake and the insect-eating bird. And then we've even got a tertiary or a higher level consumer in our mountain lion. Okay? Our hawk could also be considered a tertiary consumer because the hawk gets energy from that insect-eating bird, which ate the grasshopper. And it will eat the snake that ate the rabbit or the shrew. And I think that's something that we need to recognize. So our tertiary, our higher level consumers, they will eat things more than just that secondary consumer. Okay? They will eat both the primary consumer and the secondary consumer. And I bet if they really had to, that mountain lion and that hawk would fight it out. If it was a life or death situation, those two tertiary consumers, oh, you can bet they would fight it out. And one of them would get to eat, and the other one would get eaten. I'm not sure which one would win, because they both have strong advantages. They both have strong disadvantages against the other one. But if it came down to eating or not eating, they're going to try to eat, because they get hangry, just like Miss Blum. Okay. So there's one thing down here that I want to talk about, bacteria. Okay. So this bacteria down here, it doesn't have any arrows. That does not mean that the bacteria is not important. In fact, that bacteria is one of the most important parts. The bacteria represents the decomposer. The decomposer takes all of those organisms that have died. Okay, now, not eaten as prey, but after they die, either because they got old or they break down the food waste. That's also called scat or poop. So the bacteria breaks that down, and it takes those nutrients that are left over or that are remaining that were not converted into energy, and it puts those nutrients back into the ecosystem. And it does that by putting nutrients in the soil. Because just like I talked about, Mrs. Blum's garden will not grow because her soil quality is not good. And so therefore, the limiting factor in her yard is her soil quality. More bacteria creates a more nutrient-rich soil, which allows this whole food web to take place and thrive and to continue working in that cycle. There will be more instruction given. If you have questions and you watch this ahead of time, write them down so that you can ask. If you don't have questions, but you have no idea what I just talked about, you need to get in contact with me. I will see you soon. Have a great day. Do not post this on YouTube or somewhere else where the whole world can watch it, because that's not the point. And I'll see you guys later.